Hello and welcome to Nixies Notebooks. I am your host, and today I am going to be showing you how to make these paper clips with a little bit of bling on them. As you can see here, oops, this is a pin. This is one of those clothing pins, and I'll show you what you can use that for. Let me do it that way instead of having my big fat fingers in the way. There we go. And then there's the paper clips, which are like right here. And then I'll show you how you can use them. So this is a journal I'm working on right now. And as you can see, I have a paper clip here, and it's got a little bitty bead there. Just gives it a little bling. And the tassel also, I have added some of the clothing hooks onto the tassel ribbons, just to give it a little more bling, give a little bit of pizzazz. I did this video twice now, and I keep calling this a talisman. I don't know why I keep calling it, it's a tassel. So anyways, moving on. All right, so what you're gonna need is you're gonna need one of these type of pair of pliers. We're gonna use it to roll. A lot of these have cutters and stuff. You can use the cutters here, but you may want to get kind of like an industrial size or industrial type kind of cutters. I actually got this from Home Depot. I think it was in a Husky kit. Basically, it just snips. It snips the metal, it makes it a little easier. You'll need some of these types of pins. You can get these relatively inexpensively. You can buy them at big box stores, Amazon. I don't know if you could see that very well. They come in different sizes, so pick the size you want. You probably don't need anything really long, because usually a lot of people use these to make dangle earrings, so they want a longer one because they want a longer dangle on their earring. That sounds awful. Oh my gosh, I just heard that. I am so sad. They just want the earring to be longer, not dangle. All right, anyways. So, as you can see, these are relatively small ones. These are ones I primarily have been using. If I want kind of a gold tone, I've been using these. I don't think these are any precious metals or anything like that. I'm almost positive they're not. I used to do a lot of crafting and jewelry making, so some of this might actually be precious stones or semi-precious stones and semi-precious metals or precious metals. I'm not sure. And if you're wondering what that came from the talisman or the tassel, as other people call it. If you're wondering what the difference is, so semi-precious stones are things like different types of agate, different types of like jasper, turquoise, that sort of stuff. Precious stones are things like rubies, emeralds, diamonds. I think I'm getting this right. If I remember correctly, it's been a long time since I've really looked and done much with stones and stuff like that. And then the metals, when I'm saying like kind of the precious metals, I'm like talking gold and silver, basically. I think these are all just base metals, probably made out of nickel. But I think my point was, before I went down the road of dangling, you can get them with any sort of end on them usually, so I don't know if you can see that very well. Just has like a different type of end. This one's got a little pin end, and I'm not overly fond of these. One, the pin doesn't, the end is, you can see it's not made very well, and the pin blob at the end is just not centered, so the beads might be not hang centered. It's more for jewelry making, I guess, would be more of your worry with that. So and I just don't, it seems very small, and be afraid that a bead might slip through there somehow. So I'm not going to use any of these. So as you can see, and sometimes you get them all bent and stuff, that's okay, you can just straighten them right out. Usually you just use your fingers. They're pretty malleable, so especially if it's like, if it's silver, it's really malleable. So I'll put those aside. So now let's talk a little bit about the beads. I am going to suggest you use acrylic beads, or the dreaded word plastic. I know, it's terrible. But there's reasonings why. One, glass beads, if they hit stuff, they have a tendency to break and chip and crack. They also, now if you see like this one, I don't know if you can see that very well. Let's see. It's not the, I'm going to move the light just a little bit so you kind of see it a little bit better. So as you can see, the bead does not have a flat surface at the top. That's not good because when you try to put another bead on top, it kind of wobbles, and this will wobble on the base as well. So it doesn't matter much when you're making a bracelet or a necklace, because when you round it, they're going to be moving anyways, so it's not that big of a deal. But when you're doing it for stuff like this, it'll tend to make it wobble and it'll make it look kind of funny. So, and beads, plastic beads they're a lot lighter. They, they withstand a lot of stuff. I mean, this is plastic. This is plastic. And in the beading world, we call it acrylic. So these are acrylic. Now, the glass, these are glass pearls actually. So what they do is it's a finishing that they do with glass and beads and pearls. So these are okay. These actually come out really looking nice on some stuff, so you can use those. You may want to get some spacers or some little bit of they're almost like washers. I use them sometimes to reinforce the bottom. So I was a little bit concerned with the hole in the bead might slip through that flat head there. So I put that on there as an extra protection. You can also use them for spacing as well. So as you can see here, we got some spacing in there. Just kind of adds to it. So yeah, you can see I did that here for this one too. Put a little washer at the bottom. Oh, it's green. I didn't have a lot of lights on last night when I was doing this, so oh well. So, how do we start? Okay, so let's pull out one of these. We're gonna do it really simple today just because we're gonna try to keep it simple. There's no real reason, just other than I think it's easier if you keep it simple. So we'll take this, and again, I just want to make sure that actually is a pretty big flat surface, and if you'll notice, like when you drop a bead on there, it probably won't go through. So I wouldn't worry about it. Like I said, these I was a little more concerned about. I don't remember why. So what you do is you take, oops, sorry, I was pulling it close to me because my vision is bad, so I pulled things close to me so I could see. What you're supposed to do, once you have it on here, is you have to bend this down. Bend this little part right here. If you could see that. You need to bend it down against the bead. This is another reason why if you're starting to do this, you should really try it with just acrylic first rather than glass, because if you do it too hard, you're going to crack the glass. That's another thing. And then you have chipped glass. I think I might have, no, I didn't. I actually had to throw the other bead away. So this takes a lot. Now, if it was silver, it'd bend really easily, but because it's not, and it's nickel, and it's short, it takes a little bit of. So you can use, like I just used, sorry, I just used the table a little bit to help me there. So this is probably not gonna create the best loop. I'm not perfect at loops. I'm gonna say that. I struggle with them. I've always have. My friend who's like really strong, like she used to do perfect ones. So you're bending it at a 90-degree angle to get that to start of the loop. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your little pliers and you're just going to want to twirl. And you twirl. And you keep and as you're twirling, you're still pushing back against that angle. So I'm still pushing down to keep this part of the bead bent down, if that makes sense. So I'm still pushing, as I'm twirling, I'm still pushing down that way. So that way that doesn't just come out, doesn't come up. So that way I still get the circle. And I'll show you what I mean. I'll do one that's not very good, and I'll show you like what I mean. So then you just use this and you just kind of flatten it a little bit. So there you go. All right, so now we got our little loop there. And And then this is the easy part. You just take it, you take the paper clip. It's the easy part that I can't do. And you roll it, and done. So there you go. You got a little purple bling there. So I'm going to use a bigger one just to kind of show you what I mean about the loops and stuff. Actually, I used, where was that pin one? Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to throw a bead on there. So, for example, if I didn't do this, actually that's not going to work very well, is it? If I didn't bend it, let me use a small bead so I could show you and give you a little more. If I didn't bend it and I just tried to make a circle, so see I didn't bend it down on either side, and I just try to make a circle, it's just not going to work right because there is, and that's what your circles are going to look like. They're going to, I don't know if you can see that very well. So that's what your circles will end up looking like a kind of moved over loop, like a loppy loop, a floppy loop, a lopsided loop. That's what I'm looking for. It's been one of those days. So yeah, so it's gonna, the reason why you bend it is so that way you can center the loop above the bead. Wow, that was pretty good. I should have probably started with that. So that's why you want to bend it over first, and then, oh my goodness. That's why you want to bend the wire first at the bead and then roll it. Sorry, I hear myself talking and then I realize, not good. No bueno. So I'm going to give you another example. I'll show you on a bigger bead so you can kind of get the idea where I have a little more room to work. So, sorry, you can hear me like grunting as I'm like trying to like push down metal. It's awful, especially with all the other things that I've heard myself say today. One of those days. So now this is going to probably be a bigger loop, and we're just going to, now you see that one is, and then you can just kind of straighten it a little bit too. I always have to straighten it. And no, that's not straight. You can just use your hands too. Sometimes it's just easier. I struggle with it. It's hard because it's on a bead now and it's inside the bead, the pin's in the bead, so it moves. You probably have no clue what I'm doing because my hands are in the way. So basically what I'm doing is straightening the loop. There we go. All right. So loop is somewhat straight. Again, probably why I don't make jewelry much anymore. So loop is somewhat straight. You can always move it around. There we go. As opposed to this loop. So you see the difference? Not really when I can't. So yeah, that one doesn't want to cooperate with me. So you see the difference. That's why you bend the wire. So, all right, so I showed you those. There was one other thing I wanted to, oh, sometimes in the plastic bead bins that you get, I'll admit, I bought them at Walmart. They're like a couple bucks. I went there actually recently to see if I could find them. I couldn't, but I think you can order them online. But in these, they have sometimes a lot of beads like this. And these are great because you just do this. Boop, and you already have a charm. There you go. So that was easy. Didn't even need to use the pliers or anything like that. So I'll make one more. Oh, that's going to be too big, I think. I pulled that one out. I've had this bead. I've had this bead probably for about 15 years now, and I've never used it. I've got to use it. I got to, well, here. There we go, that'll work. So, and you can see the wire is a little bit long. So what you're going to want to do is just going to want to figure out where you're going to want to cut it to make your loop. It's a little bit better if you bend it down first. This is going to be an easy one. All right, we'll go there. Sorry, pulling it to myself again. So you can see, can you see that? So just twirling it up. Just keep twirling it. Okay, so that one didn't come out as well because I didn't make the loop big enough. That's okay. So what we'll do is we'll just, what we could do, fun thing about these is you can add those afterwards and it doesn't really change anything. Can you see that? So just looped it right on. And it'll stop some of the play up here. So just put it right on. The smaller beads, you can move them on and off actually fairly easily. So there we go. There we go. Got another nice little beady thing. Bling. I'm struggling with these because I usually pull them a lot closer to my face because, like I said, I'm blind. I really have a hard time seeing, and when I'm doing fine work I have actually really great nearsighted vision. So when I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to pull it up here, you know, out of the screen, when that doesn't really help anything. So there we go. So again, so there we go. And you could just put this on. I think a silver. I didn't really clean up my desk, I have to say, before I started videoing. I just shoved the stuff to the sides, so it's kind of like avalanche-y. So there you go. All right, I think that's it. I think we've hit all the bases about bending over the wire and what size you need for the dangle. So with that, I think we're gonna say goodbye, and thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.